Welcome to the Unquestionably Raw podcast. Tonight we're going around the association. We're going to kind of talk about what teams should be thankful for or kind of what they can do to kind of fix themselves before it gets too late. We have Keith Smith of RealGM.com with us. Keith, thanks for joining us as always.
Sure, happy to be here. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Absolutely, you too. So Keith, I'm going to go right to you. We're going to go in order of kind of the standings. So we're going to start with the best team in the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers first. What do you have for them?
I think they've got to be thankful for a lot. Primarily they're the champs, right? So they're still riding high from that. And I think they're off to a great start this year. They've had some injuries with J.R. Smith that they've had to work through, but they're just playing fantastic basketball, and they look like they're going to be right there again at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Matt, I'm going to go to you. I know you're going to kind of break down some of the updates for their rankings. So what are they looking like?
Yes. Okay, pace for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are 11th, so not much of a change. Offensive efficiency, they're 6th. Defensively, they're 12th. So they're moving. I think they were 13th last week, so they've moved up a little bit. Obviously, things they got to be thankful for. One, it's one person, LeBron James. We saw what happened when he, we talked about it Monday when he sat out. It was not pretty. So of course, LeBron James has to be the main thing they're thankful for. The guy's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Gonzo, going to you. What do you think about the Cavaliers?
The Cavaliers have a lot to be thankful for. I think they should be thankful that they have LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, a bunch of characters that LeBron has wanted on that team to play with him for the longest. He has shooters, he has tall guys. I mean, stretch fours. He has everything you could pretty much name that a leader in this era of basketball would want on his team. So they should be thankful for that. One thing I think they could use to help improve the team even more is they could probably use another shooter. I mean, you can never get too many of those. I mean, I think that, or a backup point guard who can shoot really well. I think that would kind of help. I mean, like right now they're heading in the same direction that they were last year. They're probably going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, finals period. So.
Right. I mean, basically looking at the backup point guard spot, I think they'll probably wait on Mario Chalmers come January. He would fit in seamlessly, and they could get, scrap Mo Williams as we talked about before. But one thing I think the Cavaliers should be thankful for more than anything is a Kevin Love resurgence, so to speak. He's looking good, 20-11 this year. So other than that, the team's firing on all cylinders. So going to move on to the second team in the Eastern Conference, the Atlanta Hawks. Going back to you, Keith.
Yeah, I think Matt has the ratings, right, Matt?
Yeah, we're going to switch it up, Pete.
Okay, that's fine.
Go ahead. I think it does work better that way, so we'll do that. Okay, Atlanta, they've got their 5th in pace. Once again, defensive rating still 2nd, offensive rating 12th. But I've noticed they have the last week they're kind of struggling here. Starting Sunday, they lose to New York. Then last night they get pounded by the New Orleans Pelicans, and Anthony Davis missed most of the game. So, and I was on Hoops Hype today, the little rumor section, and they were talking about Schroeder and Kyle Korver, like possibly like with Korver moving him to the bench now. And Schroeder, it's like they said by trading Teague, they kind of backed themselves into a corner because they really don't, have a guy to step in and take that spot. So it kind of sounds like they're not too happy with him right now. And Korver.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, they're Korver's playing pretty well. He's still a big chunk of what their offense is built around. I can't see that. Just sounds like an overreaction. Who are they going to start in his place? They don't have anybody else who can take.
They were mentioning Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yeah, that's great. It's just he's not as good as Kyle Korver. It's not going to happen. They've built a big part of their offense around Kyle Korver. So I can't see that one. I think there are things to be thankful for is Dwight Howard, right? He's had a huge resurgence. He's been excellent this season. Defensively, he's doing a nice job. Offensively, as he always has, and they've been able to keep his minutes down. But Matt's right; they've struggled a little bit over the last couple weeks or a couple games here in the last week or so, and that's bound to happen with the hot start they got off to. I think it's a little bit more of a regression to the mean, kind of drop it back to the team they probably are. I don't know that they were going to be a 60-win team like they're on pace for, but they should solidly be in the playoff picture for the rest of the way. It's going to really depend on how far they can go if they can get better play out of Dennis Schroeder.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Gonzo, going to you.
No need to panic. I mean, you still have to look. They got a lot of new bench players, and then Schroeder's playing a starting point guard role. It's very different from coming off the bench backing up. Now you have pretty much the weight of the team on your shoulders, meaning you have to run the offense. You have to direct people. So he has a lot of pressure on him right now. But I'm not worried about it. I think he'll be okay. This is his first time really starting in the NBA. Dwight Howard is playing excellent. He's not. We're not getting the scoring Dwight Howard, but he's playing good defense. He's grabbing rebounds. Paul Millsap is doing what he usually does. I'm not panicking about Atlanta. I mean, I expected them to make the playoffs. I think they'll do fine. I mean, right now they're in a great position.
Absolutely. I'm just going to piggyback. The only thing I had really for the Hawks to be thankful for is Dwight Howard. Keith, to your point, just kind of looking at Schroeder, I think that, with Delaney as a backup, he is experienced with a couple years in Europe. So if they need to, they can go to him. I wonder on the defensive end how well Delaney's going to be able to kind of withstand, night in, night out. If he had to play a little bit more bigger role, if Schroeder struggles, how well he'd handle that against more elite point guards. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. Hopefully Schroeder can, kind of take the reins and run with it. So we'll have to see as the season goes. But I'm not going to worry about the Hawks this early. I think, they're going to be right there, top four throughout, the season. So going to the next team, Matt, we're looking at the Charlotte Hornets.
Okay. The Charlotte Hornets. Okay, they are in pace. We've got – hold up. I'm on my wrong – I got my wrong chart up. Oh, my bad, Pete. I had it up. Here we go. Pace, the Charlotte Hornets are – they are 12th in pace. Offensive rating, they are 11th. And defensive rating, they are 4th. And they've kind of struggled as well a little bit this week. It seems like you have the Hornets and the Hawks, and hell, even the Bulls have lost a couple games. So it's really bunched up for that 2, 3, and 4 spot. The Raptors have struggled. So all these teams that we thought would compete, they're all starting to struggle now.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith, what are you seeing for the Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah, it's for them. It's the same thing. They're starting to drop back. I think what we're going to see is it's that Cleveland separation at the top, and then everybody else is somewhat the same. And I don't know that that's going to change much throughout the course of the season. So we'll see that probably battle back and forth all the way, quite late. And unfortunately, it's probably going to come down to health for all these teams. If somebody suffers a big injury, that might be what causes the next round of separation from, say, 2 to maybe 5 or so in that range. But for the Hornets, they're fine. Defense is pretty good. They've gone through a couple bumps in the road health-wise. MKG missed some time. Cody Zeller's missed the last couple of games. And I think people underrate just how big of a part of the team he is. He is solid defensively. He gets underrated on that end of the floor, but he knows what he's doing. He works well within their scheme, and he's a very good offensive player. He's a great pick-and-roll partner for Kemba Walker, sets really good screens. He's a good roll man. So that's been a big chunk of what their struggles have been the last couple of games is him being out.
Yeah. Gonzo, what do you have on the Hornets?
Hornets should be thankful for Kemba Walker. He's playing exceptional this year. I think they need another backup. I'm not even saying backup. I think they need another scorer. I think Kemba Walker he's probably the most consistent offensive threat they have on their team. Defensively, they look fine. That's another team. It's kind of like Atlanta. I'm not really panicking with them right now because, this is the Eastern Conference. Everybody knows Cleveland is number 1. And anybody between 2 and 6, they might shuffle back and forth. But for the most part, those 2 2 through 8. I mean, maybe the 8th spot will probably be the one that will probably rattle a little bit, but nobody's going to be surprised by anybody through 2 through 7.
Yeah, I think with your point, Gonzo, I had Kemba Walker for them to be thankful for, of course. Definitely right there to be an all-star this season. Frank Kaminsky is another one that stepped up and done well, which I kind of thought that, with Kaminsky, he was going to have another year where he struggled, but he stepped in and has been able to help them off the bench about 12 points a game or so. So looking for them to, like you said, kind of find another guy that can score when needed. Bellinelli can hit some shots, but he's a little bit inconsistent there. Jeremy Lamb's been out. We see him we've seen him have the ability to score in the past, but just wonder where that consistency is going to come from overall. So, Matt, going to you for the Chicago Bulls, number 4.
Number 4. Okay, the Bulls, pace 22nd, offensive rating 10, defensive rating 9, and they lost two tough games this week. You lose the one to the Clippers. Or last week was the Clippers on Thursday night, and then you lose a tough one last night. But I wasn't really surprised last night because, as Stacey King mentioned, this was their 10th straight loss in Denver. So it's been a really tough place to play for them. And they're missing some guys. Doug McDermott's still out. I think he's out at least one more game. And they got nothing from Cannon last night. And that play they drew up, I don't know what Fred Hoiberg was thinking to drop. I mean, I get going for the win. I'm okay with that. But why drop the play for Isaiah Cannon?
I don't know there. I mean, there's nothing that you can really justify.
I don't blame Cannon. That's not Cannon's fault. They drew the play up for him.
I don't know there. That's big question mark as far as Fred Hoiberg being prepared for an end of the game situation.
Mm-hmm.
But Keith, going to you, what do you think of the Chicago Bulls so far?
Yeah, I think to add to Matt's stat there, 10 straight in 16 out of 17 in Denver. So that's going back quite a ways now for them to really have struggled on the road there. And even if you go all the way back to, I think it was when they were the 72-10 year, I think they dropped the game in Denver that season. So just it's been a rough place to play for them. To be thankful for this year is that the addition of Dwayne Wade and Rajon Rondo and all their touches has not impacted Jimmy Butler more. He's been great. He's been really good, especially as of late. And I think what we're starting to see a little bit now is Rondo's taking more of a backseat role as a ball handler, which I think ultimately means we're going to see him take a backseat role in total, because if he's not handling the ball, there's just not a lot of reason to have him on the floor. So I think you'll see them go to Butler and Wade as the prime guys there, and they could be one of those teams that's in the market for a point guard sooner rather than later, which is maybe a little bit unexpected.
Yeah. Gonzo, what do you think of the Bulls?
I think the Bulls right now, they should be thankful that they're in the position that they're in now in the Eastern Conference. Look, a big problem for the Bulls right now, and that I've seen the most is part of his Hoiberg's coaching. I think last night's game, I think he went a stretch in the fourth quarter where Jimmy Butler and D Wade didn't play for like 4 to 5 minutes. That's one. The second problem is Rondo. The same thing he did when they went away in Boston, and I think Amir Johnson hit a few threes that game. Rondo was taking upon himself to think he's the scorer, because late in the Boston game, Rondo took 2 shots against Boston early in the shot clock with no passes after the ball was inbound to him. He takes deep shots, and he missed both. And guess what? Boston scored on both of those misses. They scored right after that. Last night in Denver, Rondo came behind and he caused a big turnover. They were just starting to gain a little momentum. He had the turnover with the pass, dribbled behind the back, that went out of bounds. Denver came down and missed a shot. I think Mirotic got the rebound. And Rondo comes down with no passes again and shot the ball deep too, right inside the three-point line with 16 or 17 seconds on the shot clock. I don't want you. Me personally, I wouldn't want Rondo shooting no shots. With that amount of time on the shot clock, maybe if it's just one of those shots you have to throw up and the shot clock's expiring, not that early in the shot clock. Let Jimmy, let Dwayne Wade, let somebody who can shoot get a touch on the ball. They might be a better shooter, and they might actually have a better chance of hitting. That's all I have to say about the Bulls right now.
Yeah. I think my thing for the Bulls they should be thankful that they have Robin Lopez in the middle. He does a lot of things that don't necessarily show up in the box score. Setting screens, being able to, get putbacks and things like that. And then Dwayne Wade, of course, coming home is another thing that the Bulls need to be thankful for. So having that second score, first score some nights, when Jimmy kind of, maybe doesn't have it. But so far, Jimmy's, first and foremost, the go-to guy on that team. But Keith, I like that you brought up Rondo taking a back seat because every time that he hasn't really been in the game, they've looked a lot better. Especially on the defensive side of things. Rondo, I just wonder if he's going to accept that role. Kind of quietly. I doubt it. But we'll have to see. And then I kind of want to see what Michael Carter-Williams brings whenever he can come back healthy. I don't think it's going to be a lot on the offensive end, but defensively with his size and being able to get in passing lanes, maybe he can kind of make a difference. We'll have to see. But Matt, going back to you, looking at the Toronto Raptors at number 5.
Okay, the Raptors pace, they are 20th in pace, offensive rating 3rd, defensive rating 23rd. So not a lot of a change from them, and they've lost some games. But in their defense, you lose to the Cavs, you lose to the Warriors, you lose to the Clippers. So they've played a really tough schedule this last week. So that's part of it.
Yeah, Keith.
And one more thing, DeRozan's kind of coming back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of prepared for DeRozan wasn't going to keep that up all season. Keith, going to you, what are you seeing out of the Raptors?
Yeah, to tag on a little bit, their defense has been really bad lately. 121 to the Cavs, 127 to the Warriors, 111 in a win over the Nuggets. Came back to earth a little bit, 99 points in that loss to the Kings, and we don't need to debate that. That's already been taught to death. And then 123 to the Clippers. So some good teams in there, but their defense just not getting it done. They struggle really with quick guards. Kyle Lowry's having a hard time in the pick and roll, and with Valanciunas being so slow to rotate, that's just giving them a lot of trouble. Guys are breaking them down, getting into the paint, making a lot of plays. So they're going to have to figure out how to fix that. DeRozan, like we said, has come back to earth, so you're not going to shoot 60, 70% on mid-range jumpers and long twos for the whole season. But they'll be fine. They're ultimately going to get it figured out. We don't have to go too deep into Thanksgiving. They don't have Thanksgiving in Canada, I don't think.
All right, Gonzo, what do you have for the Raptors?
They should be thankful that they're not under 500 right now. I like DeRozan, and it's kind of just what I've been saying all season. I think point guard play is a big key to being a successful team in the NBA. I mean, I know stretch fours are changing the game, and big men aren't as prevalent as they used to be. But point guard play means a lot. And Kyle Lowry's inconsistency kind of shows why they lose a lot of games too. Like Keith said, he's getting beat on defense against the quicker guards. Not to mention, he's not consistent enough on offense to kind of counter that a little bit. And you do need a passing point guard. Like, I don't understand why they can't utilize Valanciunas more. When I see Jonas Valanciunas more involved in the game, I see a guy who can get 20 and 10. I see it all the time. I see that. I see that type of player. He's just not getting the ball because the ball is in DeRozan's hands, but at the same time, too, Kyle Lowry is kind of so inconsistent with passing and scoring. It doesn't allow for Jonas Valanciunas to really get involved. So I think that's a big thing that hurts them. Because honestly, if you can get Valanciunas involved in the game and you got DeRozan, that makes Toronto kind of difficult to just beat. Because you got a big guy who can score, a big guy who can rebound, then you got a shooting guard who's deadly from mid range. And what hurts that is you got a point guard who's not a great passer, but then he's inconsistent with his scoring and he can't play defense. So that really hurts Toronto. I really think it does. I really think it does. I like their bench play. I like Corey Joseph. I like Terrence Ross. I like what's his name, Lucas Nogueira.
Yeah.
I like guys like that. They seem to play the bench role properly. It's the point guard play, man. It's really the point guard play for Toronto. I'm just like I said, right now they should be thankful that they're not under 500.
Yeah, to kind of go off of what what you just said with Toronto, the question mark I have is the power forward spot. What are they really getting there? Patrick Patterson has been just not good, playing about 30 minutes a game, only scoring about 6-7 points a game. Yes, they don't have Solinger. He probably makes a bit of difference. They counted on him to kind of play that backup center role as well. Damari Carroll's hurt, so hopefully he can get fully healthy, and maybe they can slide over and play a little bit, smaller with Terrence Ross kind of coming in, playing the 2, move DeRozan to the 3, or vice versa, and see what they have there. But they've got to get something. Siakam's look decent, but right now he's a rookie. I don't think if you're looking at a team that's going to challenge the Cavaliers come playoff time, I don't know that you kind of want to roll with that lineup. And hopefully at that point, Solinger will be healthy and is contributing. But right now, that's my question mark for them. But you said thankful to be over 500. So, Matt, we're going to the Boston Celtics. They're number 6.
Okay, pace. The Celtics, 19th in pace, 10th in offensive rating, 18th in defensive rating. So we're seeing them improve in the defensive rating. I think that's the biggest thing of why you're seeing them win some more games now. Plus you got Crowder back, you got Horford back. So, Smart came back, about a little over a week ago. So I think we knew this would happen. Defensively, they would improve once they got healthy.
Absolutely. Keith, you're the Celtics guru, so fill us in on what's happening.
So here's some numbers kind of to back up what Matt was just saying. Without Al Horford, they are defensive rating of offensive rating of 103.9 and defensive rating of 107, and their record is 4-5. With Al Horford, offensive rating of 111.9, so a swing of 8 points there. Defensive rating 97.1, so almost a 10-point swing there, and they're 4-1. So he's made all the difference. They're thankful for the health of the team, getting back together. You don't want to go too crazy because they beat the Pistons and the Timberwolves, and the Wolves game involved a huge rally, a 17-0 fourth quarter to run to start the fourth quarter. So that's going to be something that they're going to have to work on here. But Detroit's not the easiest place to win. That was their first loss at home this year. So they're going to be better. They're starting to look pretty good. Big game tonight against the Nets. Those games are basically worth 2 for Boston because they need a win and hopefully push the Nets closer to a better draft pick for that swap rights that Boston owns this year. So much like they have for the last couple of years, those ones count double, and we still got one more year of that to go. So thanks, Billy King. They're thankful for him.
Yeah, always thankful for a GM that got fleeced through and through on a bad deal, but especially when it's your team on the opposite end of that. Gonzo, now you haven't been super high of a fan of Al Horford, so let me hear your thoughts on the Celtics.
You know what? First of all, I think the Celtics should be thankful that they have a coach in Brad Stevens. I love him. I think he's a great coach. I think he's one of those coaches. He can get the most out of the talent on his team, and he's doing an exceptional job with Boston. They should be thankful that they have Isaiah Thomas. They also should be thankful for the hot shooting of Avery Bradley. He has stepped his game up so much this year. Like Avery Bradley, he was one of those guys you could probably see him catching, shooting a lot, but I mean, he's actually like shooting off the dribble now, and he's knocking down shots. Like he's really improved his game. I'm really impressed. One thing I think Boston would need to improve their team, I think they need and at least on the second unit, I think they need a rim protector. If they had a rim protector, I think that would help them a lot on defense. Outside of Horford, big men that play D on their team, I don't see it that much on the bench. I don't think Olynyk plays great D at the rim. I don't think how do you pronounce it? Yes, Zeller. What's his, Jonas? I don't know. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, him. I don't think he's as good as at the rim as well. So I think they need a rim protector. Somebody like Nerlens Noel. I think he would probably fit good on that bench as a defender. Hopefully they can get a trade and probably acquire him. But yeah, Boston. I mean, like I said again, they have great coaching. Like I said, great management. They have Isaiah Thomas, an all-star. Avery Bradley, who could possibly be an all-star this year. I mean, they got good pieces. And Al Horford, like you said, is 4-1 with them. I mean, they're more likely going to improve. I mean, no doubt. I had them like 7th or 8th. They might actually be like 3 or 4. I mean, realistically, especially after Indiana looks like crap. So,
yeah. For anybody that ends up listening to this and is a Boston Celtics fan, please don't come at us with 25 trade scenarios of Nerlens Noel to the Boston Celtics. I don't want to see this again because I just don't. I just, as a Sixers fan, I've had enough. Yes, I want to move Nerlens Noel, but I just don't want to see these radical scenarios of us getting Terry Rozier or something.
To that Noel for Terry Rozier.
Oh, I've seen it enough. So, but basically, the Celtics, as Keith said, just need to be thankful for, being completely healthy. Having Marcus Smart back on the perimeter with Avery Bradley is huge, huge, huge for them. And then, of course, Al Horford on both ends of the floor, as Keith alluded to, makes all the difference. So, many, many things to be thankful for. And I think the Celtics are going to roll right along and kind of push up in the Eastern Conference. Probably surpass the Bulls at some point and hopefully, get into that 2-3 range.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Matt, your New York Knicks are up.
Yes. Okay, here we go. 18th in pace, 14th offensive rating, and defensive rating they have improved from 30 to 27. So, that's a good thing for them. They're making slow improvements on the defensive end. But you know what? We talked about it, Pete. With this team offensively, they're playing a little more through Porzingis, which is great. You're getting great play from Brandon Jennings off that bench with his passing, setting guys up, his energy. But I think where Carmelo's going to be the most successful, and just watching a little bit of the ball game last night, spot up opportunities, coming off screens, hitting, for the medium range, 15 to 17 foot shots, because he's such a good shooter when he actually takes good shots. I think his shooting ability is underrated because he takes such bad shots. So we think, he's not really that good of a shooter, but he's a fantastic outside shooter. And I think he has to be willing to accept that role, though.
Absolutely. Keith, New York Knicks, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I trying to find it. I can't find the exact stat now, but basically whenever Kristaps Porzingis or Carmelo Anthony lead the team in shot attempts, they're good. And when Derrick Rose does, they're not. So that's the big thing. Derrick Rose has got to realize he is not a superstar point guard anymore. He's never going to be again. It's time to just be a point guard, run the team. When you can break guys down off the dribble and get to the basket, that's fine. But those possessions where he dribbles it for 15 to 20 seconds and then launches a step-back jumper, those days they probably never existed in the first place, but they really don't exist now. So, use the big guy. Use Porzingis. That guy is a machine. There is almost no one in the league can handle him because you put big on him, he just steps outside. If you go small, he just takes the guy down inside. He's taking guys off the dribble now a little bit more. The sky's the limit with him. So that's obviously what they've got to be thankful for is Kristaps Porzingis, and he is, just absolutely phenomenal talent. And then, like I said, just run an offense that doesn't involve Derrick Rose taking a bunch of shots, and they're going to be fine.
Absolutely. Gonzo, New York Knicks.
Hey, as they say on Twitter, most of the people on Twitter say, the Knicks should be thankful for Porzingis. I mean, the dude.
Yes.
The dude is so good. With dribbling the basketball, he can shoot. I even like the fact that he hit the one leg fadeaway and stared Dirk down. Like, I love every minute of that. The guy can play basketball, and then he's a mismatch. I want Carmelo Anthony to understand that he's the second option on the team now. And one thing with Derrick Rose, in order to keep your confidence, look, you don't have to be Derrick Rose of old. You got an MVP under your belt. You've got all-star appearances. All you have to do now is just strictly be a good point guard and win. You'll still make the Hall of Fame. Just be consistent and just be a good point guard. That's all you have to do. You don't have to be the same Derrick Rose. Just do what you need to do to help your team win. And right now, running the offense through Porzingis, might have just saved everybody on the Knicks. Management, the coaching staff. I think that, I was kind of worried about Hornacek for a minute, but I think they're doing the right thing. You're running through Porzingis, man. Porzingis is I think everybody keeps saying he's like the next Dirk. I think he might actually be better.
Interesting. Yeah, with Porzingis, Matt, we talked about before the show, kind of, we were all high on Karl Anthony Towns, and it's a question mark whether Towns is better than Porzingis right now.
I think so.
So, with the Knicks, my thing that they had to be thankful for is the obvious Porzingis. But with Derrick Rose, he can use that athleticism to get in the lane and pass it out to guys. He doesn't have to look to score. If some of those herky-jerky moves that he can do, it's just about having confidence in his body. If he can have the confidence in his body even 7 or 8 times a game with those herky-jerky moves in the lane, he can get guys wide open like a Porzingis on the perimeter. Even Melo could end up, on the perimeter instead of ISOing, spot-up shot. Basically, it's going to be lights out for teams if he can play that way. So, going back to everybody's point, it's really on Derrick Rose on what he can do, and Melo getting out of that ISO, I'm the number one option role. Let Porzingis, take it and go from there. And there's going to be nights where Porzingis struggles, then Melo can look for a shot. But first and foremost, it needs to be Porzingis, as your first option.
Absolutely.
All right, going to the Indiana Pacers. What do you got, Matt?
Okay, Indiana Pacers, 10th in pace, 22nd in offensive rating, 19th in defensive rating. So they're just, there's when you look at those stats and you look at their record, you're not surprised. Defensively, they haven't been very good this year. Now, yes, they've got some George has been out for a little bit. He's coming back tonight, I believe. Miles Turner's been out now. CJ Miles, so that's understandable there. But even when those guys were all healthy, this team just doesn't click right now. The pieces just don't seem to match. It just doesn't work very well.
Right, exactly. Keith, what do you think of the Pacers?
Yeah, I seem to remember someone coming on this Pacers preview and saying play with one basketball. So that's the biggest challenge they have. Their roster doesn't fit. You can't have a guy like Jeff Teague who needs the ball, Paul George who needs the ball, Monte Ellis who needs the ball, Miles Turner who somewhat needs the ball to be his most effective. It just doesn't work. I know CJ Miles came out and said the whole business of he'd rather come off the bench. They've got to do something when they get back to full health, if they get back to full health, where they move Ellis to the bench. It's time. He could probably feast on second unit guards. He's too quick. He can get a shot off still. Struggles, but when you relegate him on the offensive end, and people are making out like, well, Ellis has played his role. He's given up the ball. Yeah, that's great, but he stinks off the ball. He's not going to give you anything there. So they've got to do something. And to be honest, I'm shocked that they are even, 7-8?
Mm-hmm.
7-8. I'm kind of surprised they're even that good. To be quite honest. It surprises me a little bit, and I think that's just a testament of they have talented players and they've played their best when someone has been out, and that's never really a good sign. So they've got to do something to fix things, either balance out the bench or something.
Absolutely, Gonzo. What's your thoughts on the Pacers?
They should be thankful that they're even listed in the eighth on anybody's list right now. They look terrible. I have to question myself for something too. I had to question myself a while back, maybe a few weeks ago, and I looked at Paul George. Right, everybody needs the ball in that team, and I had to question myself: is Paul George a superstar? Or is he just a good player? And what I came to the conclusion was that he's just a good player. He's not a superstar. I think he's just as inconsistent as the rest of the players on the team. I think it's just, like I said, it's a mixture of bad characters, but it's a bad mixture of talent on one team. But I don't think the star is really a star as well. So I think there's a lot wrong with the Pacers. It's a lot wrong with the Pacers. I don't want to go in depth with it because I could probably be on this for forever talking about them and dogging them. But hopefully they get it together. Hopefully they can find something to, get them clicking. Hopefully get back up there, because I don't want to be wrong on my prediction. I predicted you guys to at least go to the Eastern Conference Finals. And right now you're making me look like a total lie, so I'm angry with you.
I had him number 2.
Yeah, that's bad.
So, it's going to be kind of rough. If for me, as far as predictions go, if they don't turn it around. But the injuries are a major concern. But then you got to look at, yes, Nate McMillan is a seasoned head coach, and he's been with the organization as an assistant coach. But they have, different, pieces. They've got Jeff Teague now they've got Al Jefferson off the bench. Maybe it takes a little while for those, kind of guys to gel together. But, they tried to play Monte Ellis off the bench for a game, and they lose to the 76ers. So that obviously didn't work. So they've got to figure it out. Rodney Stuckey's there. He needs the ball. There's a lot of question marks, and I'm hoping that some kind of deal comes at some point before the trade deadline. Ellis is on his way out. They get some better balance on that team, or otherwise, it's going to be barely trending around that 7, 8, 9 range for them, because a lot of teams are hungry for that 7th and 8th spot. That's going to be easily attainable in the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
Which leads me to the Milwaukee Bucks, who are number 9. I mean,
hey, hang on one second. Sorry, we're gonna break in. I wish we had a breaking news drop. Kevin Love just had 34 points in the first quarter.
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
Wow.
He shot 11 for 14 from the field, 8 for 10 from 3, and 4 for 4 on free throws.
Jesus.
Kevin Love is fitting into the Cleveland Cavaliers offense. Yes.
Yeah, can we go back? I'm thankful for that. Holy
absolutely. Yeah, hey, I said be thankful for Kevin Love, so there you go.
That is unreal.
Is that basically thankful for Kevin Love, or are we do we need to fast forward to Friday and look at the Blazers and say, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, that's nuts.
It's bad. I know they don't have Al Farouk Aminu, but I mean, come on, Ed Davis can at least, is supposed to be able to defend at the power forward spot. But interesting. So maybe he goes for 50. I want to kind of cheer it on and hope he goes for 50 in the game. That'd be kind of cool to see. Well, going to the Milwaukee Bucks, and Matt, I'm going to go to you.
Okay.
What are they looking like rankings-wise?
Milwaukee is 15th in pace, 20th offensively in their offensive rating, and 13th in the NBA defensive rating. And I guess they're kind of where most people probably thought they'd be. They got off to a 4-2 start, but they seem to be pretty competitive for the most part. They're in a lot of games, because I think that length really gives other teams problems. I mean, it gave the Warriors problems last weekend. And you see Jabari Parker, like we talked last week, is much more aggressive. So I think that's one thing for them to be thankful for. Obviously, Antetokounmpo has been great. He does everything for them. So, but I think they do miss Chris Middleton, even though I don't find him to be a superstar. But you can definitely see they miss him. They miss the 3-point shooting, the defense that he gives them. So, hopefully he'll be able to come back at some point this year. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah, Keith, what do you think of the Bucks?
Yeah, thankful for Jabari Parker. He is stepping up. He's becoming that elite scorer that they really wanted him to be. Obviously, thankful for Giannis Antetokounmpo. He is just an absolute phenomenal all-around talent. If you didn't get a chance, read Zach Lowe's piece about him today. Talked a lot about his rim protection, which is just unreal. And I forget who it was. Someone was talking about seeing him up close, and they were like, he's a legit 7 feet tall, and apparently still got maybe another inch or two in him, which is nuts. The guy is unreal. But they don't have enough beyond those two guys. Night in and night out, it's those two putting up around 40 to 50 points, and then nothing else really alongside him. So they need Chris Middleton back in the worst way. Maybe the most underrated, really good player in the NBA that people don't know about. And then they've got to figure out something with the big rotation. It's just not working, and Greg Monroe now is not even playing. Apparently, he's not happy about it either. So, not sure what they'll do, but they've got some.
Let's give my guy Thon Maker some minutes. Let's see what he can do.
I take him over Michael Beasley right now.
Yeah, let's see what Thon can do.
Yeah. Gonzo, you were high on the Milwaukee Bucks, and I believe, if my memory serves me right, you had them in the playoffs.
I did, and one part is that they don't have Middleton, so they lose a legitimate 18 to 20 point guy. Okay, Jabari and Antetokounmpo, they're playing great. The rest of the team, big question marks, and I think the reason why Greg Monroe is probably not playing is because Jason Kidd now seems to be more of a defensive-minded coach, and Greg Monroe doesn't play defense, so there's really no need to have him out there. Last year, I think they had somebody did a film study last year, and I think it might have been Basketball Breakdown. Basketball Breakdown did one. I think it was ESPN as well, and they were talking about how Greg Monroe's rotations were so bad, and they were playing the same defenses that they were using when they had Zaza, and how great they looked when they had Zaza Pachulia playing in that defense as opposed to Greg Monroe. And Greg Monroe was a terrible help defender. He couldn't protect the rim. Guys weren't scared to go into the paint and score. So I think that's the reason why he might be sitting on the bench. Right now, they don't look like a playoff team. They just don't look like they have enough beyond Parker and Antetokounmpo. My next question is like Matt said, when are we going to see Thon Maker?
Yes.
I'm ready to see him play. The guy played great in Summer League, and it's like at this point, you don't really look like a playoff team.
You don't have anything to lose, really.
So you don't have anything to lose. You might as well test the water and see if test the boat and see if he can tread on the water. See what he can do. I think Thon Maker. I think he can be a better defender than Greg Monroe to the point where at least he will be guaranteed more minutes. So you throw him in there. I mean, you got to see what you got. Test the young guys. See what they can do. Right now, it's about proving yourself, and right now, you got guys haven't proved anything, since 1971 when you had Lou Alcindor. So please, it's best now get these young guys acclimated to the offense, see what they can do. Hopefully, you can make a push for a playoff. Right now, they are not a playoff team.
The empty chair on the bench has more defense than Greg Monroe has. So having Thon Maker, there. I don't know this early that you bring them in. Now, if they're bad, post All-Star break, I think you throw them out there, just let them play, go from there. But right now, I think they're focused on having Teletovic off the bench at the power forward spot and Beasley in there, even though Beasley still takes, crazy mid-range shots and is all about the offense. He can score. Basically, until they're out of it, I just don't see much of Thon Maker, even though I'd like to see it. Not much outside of Parker and Antetokounmpo, as everybody said. So something's got to give with Greg Monroe. I know it was thrown out there that Portland had liked him, but that's just awful, throwing Monroe on Portland. That doesn't help anything. Portland needs a rim protector, not a post scorer that's going to take away more touches, and be unhappy in 6 months, just as he is in Milwaukee. So taking us to the Orlando Magic number 10. What are the rankings looking like, Matt?
Okay, the Orlando Magic, 25th in pace, 29th in offensive rating, 12th in defensive rating. So that the defense is going up, and Keith and I were both very high on the Magic going in, especially their defense. So that is improving. So that's a good thing. I believe they were 15th last week, so that's a good start. And you're starting to see they're winning some games now. But it seems like this team, they'll win 3 in a row, then they'll lose 4 in a row. They can't sustain anything.
Yeah,
there
definitely.
Doesn't seem to be a lot of consistency. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. No consistency with this ball club.
Yeah, Keith, you get to see them up close quite a bit. What are you seeing out of the Magic?
Yeah, the defense is starting to settle into that elite level where we really thought it might be. 5 of the last 6 opponents, 95 points or less. Unfortunately, the team's 3-3 in the last 6 games. They just cannot score. They don't have enough scoring at all. They switched and moved probably almost 2 weeks ago now, moved Aaron Gordon to the bench, started Jeff Green. It's actually given them a little bit better balance, but they just struggle so much. It's like gotten to the point with Nick Vucevic that he is really been terrible this season. He's under 42% shooting from the field, which is hard to believe for him. And it's not, a lot of people instantly go to, well, he's taking more jumpers. He's not. He's actually taken only 0.7% less shots from 3 to 10 feet than he took prior years. So basically the same exact amount. And he just is not hitting at all in those areas. And to the eye test, it looks like he rushes. When you watch their games, he used to get the ball. He was kind of deliberate, make his move, make his pass, and get into a good shot. Now it's like he gets it, turns right into something, and flips it towards the rim versus finishing strong or taking a nice jumper. So a lot of struggles there. They've got to get that figured out. But the defense has rounded into form, and that'll keep them in a lot of games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Vucevic, is it maybe a concern that he knows that Biyombo is going to come in? Is that what it is, that he feels like he has to produce something?
Yeah, I don't know. When he's been asked about it, he doesn't really say that. It's, and he's probably not going to say that either, but right. It's just, that he's working through it. Some people have suggested maybe he's got some sort of injury that's holding him back, but he's been playing every game, so it's hard to know, exactly what's going on. To me, like I said, it just looks like he's rushing shots when he gets his touches. I don't know if he is feeling like he's not getting as many touches, so he's going to get shots up when he's in there. But it's just, whatever it is, it's just not working right now.
Yeah. Gonzo, what are you seeing out of the Magic?
Good defensive team. Scoring, inconsistent. Vucevic is not playing like he was the last few years. And it might be because it seems like they're using Serge Ibaka a lot. I was looking at the box score 2 days ago when they played OKC, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Ibaka took more shots than Vucevic did. He was hot. So I mean, I understand why they kept feeding him the ball, but it seems like they're using him more. They keep switching. They took Aaron Gordon, put him on the bench. They put Jeff Green in. Yeah, that's more balanced. It's kind of what I expected, honestly. I still believe that because they can play defense, they can still make an 8th seed. I think they can still get in that. The fact that they're holding teams in an era where teams are averaging 100 points a game, and they're holding teams to 95 points, I think that's a big plus. That even if they are inconsistent on offense and don't have a whole lot of scoring, I think that could actually still kind of get them into an 8th seed. I mean, I still have hope for them. Yeah,
I question some of the pieces because you got to look at Gordon, and I'm going to touch on, Keith, as we talked about before. You did the Locked on Magic, and you broke down kind of Gordon and Green and Def, and Gordon just looks lost on where to be on offense. So it's like you kind of can't really play him at the 3 necessarily.
Nope.
And so then you kind of look at options, and Jeff Green's there, but he's inconsistent. He has been his whole career. Then you've got Hazonia, who hasn't played in – it's been at least 4 or 5 games since he's been in there. So you have a piece like Hazonia. Do you move him and try to get something? And then you've also got a guy like C.J. Watson. Yes, he's probably not going to get you a lot on the market, but it does break up the glut of point guards, and he's not – he's able to play the 2, but he's not really a 2. So, try to get some pieces and then maybe move Vucevic and just give it to Biyombo at the center spot and try to weed out some of those pieces for maybe a different look. Something's got to give because the Magic are definitely capable, as you said, Gonzo, of having that 8th spot, and especially with teams like the Bucks. I don't anticipate them being in the playoffs. The Knicks, you don't know what Knicks team you're getting night in, night out. So they could be right there.
Mm-hmm. So there's a challenge with the Magic right now is that if they trade away good, productive veteran pieces for youth, if they decide, let's rebuild, Rob Hennigan's not going to be around to see that through.
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side, if he starts trading youth for other, impactful pieces that don't get them where they want to be, he may not be around either, so he may not get the go-ahead from management to do that. So unfortunately, you might see a move, but it's probably going to be something on the smaller side. But it might be what you see with what you get with the Magic for now, and they may need to play their way through this.
Yeah, I had heard, and I'm not knowledgeable at all on the Magic, of course, like you are, Keith. But I know there was kind of a little bit of back and forth. People wondering who's really calling the shots between Hennigan and I believe is it Alex Martins is the
Yeah, Alex Martins is the president of the team.
yeah, kind of who was calling the shots there. So you have to wonder.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that, especially when they hired Scott Skiles. The belief was that was not Hennigan's hire,
Mm-hmm.
that move was forced upon him by management, and then Vogel and him seemed to be in lockstep, and that was his guy. So it's just a tricky part to be in, and what you don't want to see them do is trade away Aaron Gordon or Alfred Payton or even Hazonia for pieces that put them in the 7 to 10 range, let's say, for the next 3 years. That's just not where you want to be. That's, you'd rather just play this out and, see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm hopeful that Hazonia gets minutes. I think that if he can get to an aggressive stage, I think that, he'll be able to get to the rim. Obviously, he's very athletic. If he can knock down a shot or two, then he's going to kind of give a little bit on the defensive end. But if he doesn't hit that first shot, then you might as well count him out on the defensive end. But I think for Hazonia, this is a make or break season, and hopefully he can squeeze his way back into that rotation.
Yeah, not to steal Phil's thunder and make this Locked On Magic too, but it's if Hazonia doesn't play defense, he's not going to play, and he does not play defense right now.
Yeah, exactly. Going to the Pistons, they're 11th right now. Matt, what are they looking like rankings wise?
23rd in pace, 6th in defense, 23rd in offense. So, we know they're going to play defense under Stan offensively, and we mentioned it last week. It's tough to say with them right now with Reggie Jackson out. I think, they're close enough where I think they'll jump in once he comes back. Like I said last week, point guard play is so important. So I think it's still too early, and I think he's back to working out now with the practices. So I'm sure in the next probably 10 days he'll be back, and then we'll really get to see what this team is going to look like.
Absolutely. Keith, what are you seeing out of Detroit?
Yeah, they need Reggie Jackson back pretty badly. They need him back in there to run the offense and to give them someone who can create offense. They don't have a lot of that right now. They rely on the system to get them points, so they really need to have that work out for them. So thankfully he's back. Like maybe the beginning to middle of, probably more in middle of December, he'll be back out there and ready to go. And then that's when you can really start to judge this team. They've hung in there, which is important. Just hang around the playoff picture. And as we talked, the East is so jumbled and close that they're fine. I do want to call out Tom West wrote for FanRag Sports a really fun article about how athleticism doesn't always translate to defensive success. And one of the guys he looked at in that article was Andre Drummond. So if you have an opportunity, anybody listening, check that out because it's a really cool piece as he wrote some things on there because I think a lot of people tend to think Drummond is an elite defender, and he's not necessarily that guy as far as what the stats tell you. And then he also pairs it with some video and the eye tests as well. So you have an opportunity to take a look at that one.
Yeah, to me, Drummond's more of an elite rebounder more than I wouldn't say elite defender necessarily. But that's just the eye test. I don't really get into the advanced metrics or any of that stuff. Unless it's the Sixers. Cause that's really the only team I'll go that in depth for. But Gonzo, I want to hear from you. What are you thinking of the Pistons?
Really, the Pistons don't really even deserve a comment from me right now because I'll just be repeating what I said early on in the year. I don't think they made enough adjustments or additions to the team to really improve. Like they were eighth seed last year in the Eastern Conference, and this year they could possibly be an eighth seed. But honestly, I don't think they've done enough to even be an eighth seed in the East this year, especially with Orlando. To me, they've gotten better than the Pistons this year. On paper, the Pacers still look like they might be better than the Pacers. We know Boston's better. The Bulls, they're better. Cavs, Hawks. Hawks kind of surprising right now. I didn't expect them to be number 2. So the Pistons, I don't think they've done enough. I mean, we can wait and see what they're gonna do when Reggie Jackson comes back, but I'm not sold on Detroit right now. I'm really not sold on Detroit.
Yeah, I think my view of Detroit is kind of their bench. You got Stanley Johnson's taking a big step back. Yes, he's only playing 15, 16 minutes, but he's not able to score. He put in a ton of work this offseason, and it just has not translated well. And you got pieces like Reggie Bullock's been hurt. He's had moments where he's looked decent and then moments where he looks like a D-League kind of guy. I wouldn't count on him really as a focal point of your bench. Then you've got Benaje off the bench. He's a rookie. You've got Hilliard. Those pieces could be filled with other guys out there that could give you a little bit more off the bench to kind of boost the bench. And then, of course, Reggie Jackson being out forces you to have Ish Smith in the starting lineup, which he's more of a capable backup than he is a starter. And then with Aaron Baines kind of a free agent at the end of the year, Stan Van Gundy said that he's going to command a good bit of money. I don't know that I see that. I mean, he's serviceable, but right now playing Boban, he gets lost in spots, so I don't know that that's a plus either. I think they need a little bit more help up front as well, maybe to kind of push things forward. But I do think they make the playoffs, just not a top seed in the East at all. But we'll see. Going to the Miami Heat, number 12. What do you got, Matt?
Okay, they are 23rd in pace, 27th offensively, and 3rd on defense. So, I mean, we talked about it last night. A lot of that is Hassan Whiteside. A lot of it is the slow pace that they play at. They're another inconsistent group, too. I mean, you know what you're going to get out of Whiteside for the most part, but he has his mood swings. So even on those times where he doesn't look like he cares. You got some injuries, too, with Winslow. So this team, to me, is kind of a mess. Dragic, I mean, what do you do with him? Waiters hasn't done what they wanted him to do, I don't think. So this team is just they got to figure out. They got to find an identity. I don't think they really have one.
Yeah. Anything that they have to be thankful for, Keith?
Yeah, it's Whiteside and the fact that their defense keeps them competitive in most games, but they're another team struggling to find offense consistently. When Dragic was out, they had nothing. And that's going to continue to be their challenge all year long. It's when Dion Waiters is one of your more consistent offensive weapons, you're probably going to struggle, and that's been the case. But Whiteside's been great. He's been really good on both ends of the floor. He's made some really nice plays defensively. It seems like he's improving his defensive awareness a little bit, which is good to see. So we'll see if that can continue. But for the Heat, it's basically the kind of season we thought they were going to have. They're just going to kind of play out the string, try out a lot of different guys, and see what works for the future.
Yeah. Gonzo, what's your thoughts on the Heat?
Not too many. They're in a rebuilding stage. They're a draft pick team to me. Whiteside is kind of a waste of talent at this point because he's really, really good on a very, very, very bad team. If I was Miami, I would possibly trade him if I could. Miami, they're not doing anything. There's no need to even mention them in playoff in the same sentence.
Playoffs aren't in their future, but I want to see a healthy Justice Winslow. I know he's been out with the wrist injury. I think if healthy, he can kind of play a vital piece. They're getting nothing out of that power forward spot. I know they've tried Derek Williams a number of games. They've got James Johnson. They've got Luke Babbitt, but all of them have been inconsistent. So, I kind of would like to see Winslow come back. They could play small, play the perimeter guys in Richardson, Waiters, Tyler Johnson, kind of with a small ball four in Winslow. Just throw those guys out there and, make it a league pass alert kind of thing more than any type of playoff run.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the Washington Wizards, another underachieving team, so to speak. What are the rankings looking like for them, Matt?
Hold on, real quick. I have to pull up my list. It just came down. The Washington Wizards are 17th in pace. They are 19th in offense, and they are 25th on defense. So they're just bad all around. Now they got Beal back. He had the 42 the other night, so that's a good thing. Hopefully him and Wall can play together. That'll help. But it just seems like they're just not getting much out of anybody else. Porter's had his moments this year, but he's inconsistent. Gortat is going to, he's getting older. I don't think they've got nearly what you want to get out of the Morris twin. He could have been a good sprint. Yeah, Markieff. You can't, have him come in, be a stretch four kind of guy, but they're just the team. That's another team, I think, like the Heat. They're a mess. No real identity. Your two best players, all the rumors, they don't get along. So they've got problems.
Yeah. Keith, do they have anything to be thankful for?
It's hard to find anything. I think Otto Porter's been pretty good. I'd like to see him get more consistent touches. He was better when Bradley Beal was out. So I'd like to see them work him into the game a little bit more. It's just too much your turn, my turn with Wall and Beal for them to be really successful. And they don't play any defense at all, no matter who's on the court. So maybe when Jan Mahinmi gets back, that'll help them some on that end of the floor. But they're a mess. And unfortunately, there's no easy path to improvement because they could tank for draft position, I guess, at this point, because cap space is not a realistic option with Beal's giant contract now having kicked in, and then the questionable signings. The biggest thing that they've got to fix is they've got to find a way to get some sort of consistent presence off the bench, because the bench is just really, really bad. Every single night, they just don't get enough from the reserve units.
Yeah, when your starting center says we have the worst bench in the NBA, that's pretty bad. There, Marcus Thornton, Sheldon McClellan, Tomas Satoransky,
Kelly Oubre,
Jason Smith. They're just not going to get it done. They are missing Jan Mahinmi, so not that he's going to give you a lot.
Yeah, he's not going to bolster that bench that much.
No, but I think being a defensive presence, can rebound a little bit. He'll help the defense as far as a rim protector, maybe a little bit, but they need scoring. Oubre has been one that surprised me, where he hasn't kind of been able to step up and do anything. So, but Gonzo, I want to go to you. What's your thoughts on the Wizards?
I think the NBA should give us all Wizards games free on League Pass.
Damn.
Right now, they really should. It's amazing how far they fell from a few years ago. I think when they played against the Bulls, and I think they played Indiana, they were looking like they were heading up, and how they've fallen so far. And part of it's injuries. I think another thing is that Bradley Beal and John Wall, I think they don't have enough chemistry together. I hear they have a lot of beef off the court. So I think that might have a lot to do with it too. Then they don't have a bench. They've gotten rid of Nene, which is not a big piece, but he is a post scorer off the bench. They lost. So they lost quite a bit of pieces. And then the fact that they got rid of a coach and they bring another coach in who I've never thought Scott Brooks was really a great coach. I think he just had Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. So ISO ball looked really, really good when you got two guys that can ISO. I think now only person that can really ISO is John Wall, and he can't shoot. Bill is more or less like a spot-up shooter. He can dribble a little bit, but he's more of a spot-up shooter. So I don't know. It's really bad for Washington, man. I really had high hopes for Washington a few years back. Like, wow, they're trending up. But right now, they're a lottery pick team.
Yeah. I think they went for Ryan Anderson in free agency. They struck out on getting him. So that was kind of that stretch piece that would have really helped them, I think. And, Markieff Morris has struggled kind of in that role. I think they thought they were going to get a little bit more out of him. And I think he thought that, having a little bit different type of offense was going to help him as well. But, nothing to be real thankful for on Washington's side. other than, I guess, Bradley Beal and John Wall. Going to the Brooklyn Nets. Matt, what are the rankings looking like for the Nets?
Brooklyn Nets, they are second in pace, 18th in offensive rating, 28th in defensive rating. So they are coming back down to earth and becoming the team that we thought they were. That hard play is only getting them so far, and we're starting to see it now. And, we had a couple of guys, I know when we did our preview, said they'd be a top 10 offense and all. They had no. They're starting to fall off. They were close last time, but they're really falling off offensively now. And defensively, they're bad, which we thought they'd be bad.
Yeah. Keith, what are your thoughts on the Nets?
Yeah, they miss Jeremy Lin quite a bit. They need him for that offensive creation, not just for himself, but for other guys as well. I continually compare them to, they're like anywhere from a 13 to a 16 seed in the NCAA tournament. Play really hard and bombs away from three and hope for the best, because that is what they do every single night. And hey, if you like 7-foot white guys shooting threes, they're your team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brooke Lopez and Justin Hamilton are letting it fly nightly. So Lopez every night makes as many threes as he had made in his entire career up to this season. So, so if that's what you enjoy, tune in by all means to the Nets. I think they'll be a little bit better though when Lynn gets back. Just the offense will get a little bit better, but there's just not enough NBA talent for them to compete night in and night out and win games, especially at the guard spot is really where they're lacking.
Yeah, I know they're going to get Karis LeVert back at some point. They're not going to rush him. Isaiah Whitehead has kind of been up and down. I know he went out with the concussion, but really a guy that both Gonzo and I were really high on, Sean Kilpatrick. They kind of forced him into that point guard role just out of necessity, and he didn't really thrive in it. But Gonzo, want to go to you. What's your thoughts on the Nets?
The Nets, I think they're just suffering greatly right now because of Jeremy Lin's injury. I think he kind of controlled the pace of that team. Another thing, Brooke Lopez is shooting way too many threes. I think that's the reason why his rebound numbers are so low, like really low this year. Because, if you're standing behind the three-point line, you're really in no position to grab a rebound. So that's one big problem. They really don't have enough. They really don't have enough talent on that bench. And I know I tried to convince myself that with Jeremy Lin, they can make an AFC. They don't have enough. They don't have enough, like Keith said, NBA talent on that bench to really push them even to an AFC. And right now, Orlando, teams like Orlando, they're playing really, really good defense, and they have veteran leadership, and they got a lot of good young guys. It'll be hard for a team like Brooklyn to get into those spots, like the AFC. So right now, they're just a lottery pick team.
Yeah, I want to see at the end of the year between Brooke Lopez and Marc Gasol who ends up with more three-point attempts from the center spot. That'll be interesting. I'm sure it's probably going to be Lopez, but it's just interesting that teams that have really good post presence, two teams that have really good post presence, both centers are floating on the three-point line. Now, in Gasol's defense, he does play inside a lot more than Lopez has played, but one thing I want to say that the Nets need to be thankful for is Kenny Atkinson and his coaching. That guy was phenomenal with the Hawks, just kind of in his player development. And you can see he's taking guys that really aren't on the NBA radar and turning them into marginal NBA role players. Joe Harris, Sean Kilpatrick are two guys that have flourished so far under him. And then Justin Hamilton, who was over in Spain last year, comes back to the NBA and is killing it from the three-point line. So shout out to Kenny Atkinson and his coaching. The last team on our list, the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yes, your 76ers. Looking like, Matt? Okay, 12th in pace, 28th on offense, and 24th on defense. And obviously, I'm not going to say Embiid, but the guy I'm really been impressed with has been Stauskas. He's really playing well, and they are up at halftime, Pete. I think 7 or 8. They're up. Covington has found the touch. He's 4 of 6 from 3, I believe, 4 or 5. So Embiid's only got about 5 points. But they're playing well tonight. And
Stauskas is struggling though. He's more of the facilitator role right now.
What
I was afraid of with Bayless coming back.
Yeah. but they're playing a lot better right now. I mean, hell, if they win tonight, that'll be 5 wins before December.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it because they might only get 5 to 7 more on the season.
No, I think they'll be better than that. And you get
but
Simmons back, hopefully.
I hope.
They're trending upward.
Yeah, they're looking decent. And Embiid's, I'll get to that in a minute. I want to go to Keith first.
Trust the process.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, it's really all it is. It's, the thing I like is they're fun to watch this year, especially when Embiid plays. They are – it just – I know the fans love to say Hinkie died for this and everything else and all those sorts of things, which are pretty funny. But they're building something that could be pretty special. And what I think a lot of people are starting to overlook is they've got some trade assets to go get other pieces now. Mm-hmm. It's no longer selling off somebody just to sell them off and get something else or eat a contract to get a pick or anything like that. But they still have that ability too. They're going to be the team you're going to see thrown in on every single 3-team trade from now to the trade deadline, just because they've got that space and ability to make eat a deal for somebody to make another move happen and those kind of things. So, but it's all about Joel Embiid right now. When Simmons gets in there, it'll be all about him. They're a fun group to watch. I found myself the last couple of years I couldn't take it. I had to shut their games off and couldn't deal with it. This year, I'm having a lot of fun watching them.
Absolutely, Gonzo, Sixers.
Man, hey, they should be thankful for Joel Embiid. They should be thankful also for Jahlil Okafor and one more person, Dario Saric as well. Be thankful for those 3 guys. Even though they might trade Jahlil Okafor, I think he's a good low post offensive threat. Like I said, just trust the process, man. Hey, they're trending upward. I mean, you start they start off the right way. You got a big guy who can shoot. You got a big guy who can put it on the floor. You got a big guy who can run the floor and chase down on defense. Can play deep, can play help defense, can play positional defense. I mean, the guy Embiid, he's the real deal. And just wait till he gets his feet under him, and he just adapts more to the NBA game. He'll be great. Could be an all-time great. Like I said, they're a lottery pick team, but hey, they're definitely
help is on the way.
Help is most definitely on the way. Absolutely.
I'm hoping we get Simmons back soon. Noel's going to come back, and hopefully they can kind of get him back looking, good. And
increasing
so
the trade value, right? Yeah, increase that value. What's it looking like with Simmons? Are we going to see Ben Simmons this year?
We'll see him at some point, maybe January, February.
Nice.
I hope.
Mid-January is what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and just everything I've read. Just hopeful.
So if he's good to go, they are going to play him. It's not going to be let's sit him this year.
I think they're going to try to play him.
Yeah, they have said that it's his injury's a little bit different and not being quite as big as the other guys who have had that. There's not the concern of re-injury, so they have said that when he is ready, they will play him. The other thing is that he got hurt a little bit earlier on than some other guys. Plus, he had nothing else going on. People forget with Embiid, he had the back issue too, which was a pretty big deal. So that factored into the foot problems that he had. So every word right now is Simmons, as soon as he's ready to go, which they're hoping is about mid-January, they're going to throw him out there. We're probably not going to see him play back-to-backs. I would assume they'll be cautious. He'll play one game, then take a game off kind of deal. But he should see the floor at some point this season.
Yeah. Robert Covington has to be thankful to finally have a good shooting game.
Yes.
So far. Thank God, because he was even starting to worry me. The Sixers need to be thankful for Sergio Rodriguez being able to run the offense. I'm sure they're probably wishing for some kind of defense out of him. They're not going to get it, but offensively he's able to get guys in his spots and just pick the tempo up. And, Spanish chocolate, as he's nicknamed, for a reason. So, and, of course, Joel Embiid. I mean, don't need to say anything. You guys have already said it. If Stauskas can keep his confidence, I'm worried because the last 2 games he hasn't shot well, which tends to kind of put him back in a funk. But he is passing the ball a good bit tonight as more of a facilitator. I worry with Jared Bayless because I wonder if that's going to take away minutes from Stauskas because Bayless can play that combo role off the bench as a spot-up shooter. So we'll have to see what happens, but I'm definitely encouraged as a Sixers fan, and I'm hoping we get about 22 to 25 wins. I'd be happy with that and just getting healthy all the way around. So definitely a good start to the season. So that's going to wrap up this edition of Around the Association. We're coming back to you Friday night, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to take a look at the Western Conference. Same format, what they should be thankful for. If teams kind of need a change, we'll highlight that as well. But, Keith, I want to go to you. Let everybody know where they can find you and just kind of what work you have out there right now.
Sure, you can find me on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA, no spaces, nothing like that in there. So nice, easy Twitter handle, Keith Smith NBA. A lot of interaction there. So if you hit me up on there, I promise I will read it and I respond to as much as I can. You can find my written work at realgm.com. I have an article up there about Jabari Parker and his improvement from his rookie year till now and the things he's added to his game. I'll have something else coming up, hopefully by the weekend there on the Atlanta Hawks, how a complete change in identity hasn't hurt them one bit. And then you can find me daily at fanragsports.com writing the Skip Pass. So what the Skip Pass is, it's going to break down every game in short form and give you a little bit to watch for. We get a couple focus games each night, and then everything else is some quick hitters. Hopefully you'll see something in there that you may not see had you not had a chance to catch the games that night before. And then if you want any Celtics-specific coverage, CelticsBlog.com. We do a fun thing after every game called the Read and React, which is all short-form stuff from the Celtics game. Sometimes it's insightful, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's neither, but we do our best. We have a lot of fun with it. So,
absolutely.
And a quick Kevin Love update. He only took one more shot in the second quarter. He missed it, so he's stuck on 34 with 8 threes. But the Cavs have 81 points at halftime.
Nice.
And that's just, I can't believe, and we'll definitely be talking about the Trailblazers. They're getting smacked around right now. Something's got to give for them. So, Gonzo, I want to go to you because we haven't had you on in a little bit. Let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at DJ Gonzo Star.
Nice.
Yes.
And Matt, just to refresh everybody for all our new listeners, let them know where to find you.
At Meek Mill 1981 on Twitter.
Absolutely. You can find me at Pete Toll on Twitter. I want to let everybody know, if you're not a fan of necessarily downloading podcasts, you can still check us out on Stitcher.com. All of the episodes are up there. I'll tweet out the link. Please continue to go to iTunes. I believe we're still in the top 10 trending on iTunes. So leave us a 5-star review. Give us a little written review if you don't mind to add to those 5 stars as well. Let us know what you think. Subscribe, of course, so that way you get the auto downloads. And then go to YouTube. Continue to support the video part of it, and we'll get some prettier faces coming your way throughout the season, so to speak. We got some people in the works to come on as well. Like the videos, subscribe to those videos as well. And a big happy Thanksgiving to everybody that's listening and watching. Please be safe if you're traveling. Eat lots of food. Eat multiple plates of food. Watch lots of football since there won't be any more NBA. And, in the meantime, tell a friend or two about our podcast so that way we can have more viewership and continue to bring more great content your way. But we will see you back here 7 p.m. Eastern on Friday evening for Around the Association, the Western Conference edition.
All right.